My dear viewers, hello and welcome to a new episode of our program Cairo Local Time, during which we bring you the latest political, economic, social, also sports and cultural events that are taking place in Egypt. With you today, Aman Mukhtar. I have the pleasure to be with you until 5 p.m. This is a short break and I'm going to be back with you. Welcome back. We start this episode of Cairo Local Time with a local news bulletin. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi have performed the Hajj prayer at Sayyida Nafisa Mosque on the 20th day of the holy month of Ramadan on Thursday. Upon his arrival, President al-Sisi was received by the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar, Ahmad al-Tayyib, Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli, and Minister of Endowment Osama al-Azhari, Governor of Cairo Ibrahim Sabir, and Grand Mufti of Egypt, Dr. Nazir Ayad, and also the Major General Ahmed Al-Azazi, head of the Armed Forces Engineering Authority. Official spokesperson of the presidency, Ambassador Mohammed Shinawi, said the President al-Sisi inspected the mosque where he was briefed on the renovation work carried out by the Engineering Authority of the Armed Forces. He added that the President emphasized Egypt's commitment to completing the development of the shrines of the Prophet's family, including their mosques. The head of state pointed out that Egyptians attached to the Prophet's family reflects awareness and values and recognition of virtues. After performing dawn prayers, President Sisi visited the shrine of Sayyida Nafisa. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi reviewed on Wednesday the government's efforts concerning digital entrepreneurs initiative DigiLions during the meeting of the Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli and Minister of Communication and Information Technology Amr Talat, as well as the head of Egypt Military Academy Ashraf Zahir. And President al-Sisi have instructed to abide by the accuracy and transparency in procedures of accepting the attendees, which enhances the credibility, especially that it would qualify beneficiaries to join the labor market. The details in the following report.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi held talks with Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli and Minister of Communications and Information Technology Amr Talat, as well as head of the Egyptian Military Academy Ashraf Zahir on Wednesday. Presidential spokesman Mohammed Shinawi said the meeting tackled government's efforts concerning digital entrepreneurs initiatives, DigiLions. President al-Sisi instructed to abide by accuracy and transparency in procedures of accepting the attendees, which enhances its credibility, especially that it would qualify beneficiaries to join the work market. The initiative is aimed at qualifying and training youth in the fields of communications and information technology, as well as programming, to be a key cornerstone in the process of digital transformation, as well as enhancing digital experts as a key pillar for developing the national economy. During the meeting, Minister Talat reviewed the initiative in details, referring to its target of training youth to enable them to have opportunities at the work market, notably in the field of artificial intelligence, programming, cybersecurity, as well as digital designing and arts. The minister noted that the initiative would be open for registration with all ages and different academic and practical specializations in all governorates, within the framework of expanding the base of beneficiaries of the initiative. He added that the initiative depends on the idea of a full accommodation at equipped places at the headquarters of the current military academy before transferring the academy to the new administrative capital.
Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli have held a press conference after the weekly cabinet meeting, during which he emphasized Egypt's commitment to the rebuilding and reconstruction of Gaza Strip, referring also to the latest deteriorating situation in Gaza Strip. And he also spoke of several things during this press conference. We're going to know more in the following report.
Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli held a press conference following the weekly cabinet meeting at the government's headquarters in the new administrative capital. Madbouli asserted Egypt's commitment to the reconstruction of Gaza Strip and expressed concern over the latest developments in the enclave. Madbouli affirmed that the military solutions would not be efficient for ending any regional conflict and called for more efforts to reach peaceful settlement for the current escalation. The Premier also pointed out that a Supreme Committee is assigned to discuss preparations for the Grand Egyptian Museum opening. He also reiterated that more details on Digital Entrepreneurs Initiative will be reviewed in a short time. Meanwhile, Madbouli said that the Ministry of Culture and the National Media Authority will be concerned of following up drama content and also boosting the role of raising awareness upon directives of President El-Sisi. The Prime Minister also said the government is periodically following up the ongoing projects affiliated to the presidential initiatives across the nation. Minister of Finance addressed the press conference, giving a brief on the latest investment projects and the ministry's plan during the coming months.
Welcome back. Egypt attained an all-time high of 330 billion Egyptian pounds in primary surplus during the finest 8 months of the current fiscal year 2024-2025. We're going to know more in the following report.
Egypt attained an all-time high of 330 billion Egyptian pounds in primary surplus during the first 8 months of the current fiscal year. The tax revenues increased by 38.4% year-on-year, marking the highest annual growth rate achieved in years. Meanwhile, debt management improved by distributing the burden of interest payments across fiscal year 2024-2025. The growth rate of Treasury-funded investments slowed down due to the government's focus on prioritizing spending and reviewing the public investment plan to ensure it remains below the investment spending ceiling of the current fiscal year. Spending on the health and education sectors increased by 29% and 24% respectively compared to last year. Furthermore, spending on support, grants and social benefits surged by 44%. The Ministry of Finance illustrated that the fiscal year 2025-2026 budget axis and priorities, noting that the first axis will focus on driving economic growth and activity, creating job opportunities by boosting confidence in the Egyptian economy, supporting productive sectors like tourism and technology, and maintaining financial stability by adhering to targets and reducing debt and its burdens. In this context, the ministry presented the key financial targets for the fiscal year 2025-2026 budget to sustain a primary surplus, increase tax revenues, and also to enhance spending on the health sector and social protection programs like Takaful and Karama. The ministry also presented a proposal to reduce the debt of budgetary entities. Moreover, it added that the IMF expected inflation to moderate to 16.6%. Averaging 22.4% for the year, the debt to GDP ratio to decline from 90.9% in the previous year to 86.8% by the end of fiscal year 2024-2025, and the external debt to jump from 39.9% to 46.1% of the GDP this year.
Egypt's stock market indices collectively rose during the start of Thursday trading session. The main EGX 30 index added 0.27%. The small and medium EGX 70 index added 0.36%, and the more expanded EGX 100 index gained 0.37%. The market capital of listed companies lost about £1 billion to close at £2,246 billion amid deals and transactions of about £17.7 billion. According to the chairman of the company responsible for developing the Pyramids Plateau, the trial operation of the newly developed Giza Pyramids area will begin on the 7th of April via the Fayoum Desert Road entrance. In recent statements, the company said that the area's official inauguration is scheduled for the 3rd of July, considering with the opening of the Grand Egyptian Museum. It said that this initiative aimed to develop the Giza Pyramids area and improve visitor experiences, noting that the revamped site will help attract more tourists to Egypt. Additionally, the statement described this milestone as a significant step in developing one of the world's most iconic tourist destinations. Long live Egypt, and this was a very nice song as we celebrate on the 19th of March 1989 the liberation of Taba. And the March 19th is not only a date in the calendar. It is a symbol of hard won and victory into the annals of modern Egypt. On this day in the year 1989, the small but strategically significant town of Taba was nestled in that is located in South Sinai, was restored to Egyptian sovereignty, concluding a protracted and often chapter in Egyptian-Israeli relations. The liberation of Taba transcends the mere concept of territorial reclamation. It stands as a potent testament to Egypt's unwavering commitment to safeguarding its land and national dignity. The victory, achieved through a blend of military might and assault diplomacy, underscores a critical narrative: Egypt's resolve to employ every available means to secure its interests. From the battlefields of the War of Attrition and the 1973 October War victory to negotiating tables of the Egypt-Israeli separation for forces agreement and the arbitration process secured Taba's return back to Egypt. Well, to shed more light on this special day, we have the pleasure to have with us over the phone His Excellency Ambassador Mongay, Badr plenipotentiary and board member of the Egyptian United Nations Association. Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon for you and your viewers.
Well, 19th of March 1989, it's not just a date in the calendar, it is considered the returning back of Taba to Egypt. Could you take us back to this date and give us more details about it?
In fact, Taba Liberation Day is a very significant historical anniversary in Egypt. Egypt celebrates the liberation of Taba on March 19 of each year, marking the anniversary of the liberation of Taba. It was the last part of Egyptian territory over which Egypt regained sovereignty after October 1973 war.
Yes. On
this day, Taba was reclaimed from Israeli occupation, marking the complete liberation of Sinai. An agreement on Taba was reached after very long negotiation between Egypt and Israel.
Yes.
Taba agreement was signed on 1989, resulting in Egypt regaining of the last part of Sinai.
Yes.
It was a very significant diplomatic achievement.
Yes. Your Excellency Ambassador Badr, what does this show of the Egyptian, the citizens, the army of Egypt, the president of Egypt also at that time, insisting to take every single part of Egypt back to the homeland or back to Egypt? Taba is a very tiny or a small part of Egypt, but at the same time the Egyptians would not ever leave any part of or any part of their land.
Yes.
What does
Yes.
this show of the Egyptian army and the Egyptian personality?
In fact, let me speak about Taba from the historical dimension.
Yes, please.
We start with October 1973 war. The following Egypt victory and the October war, it was a negotiation took place between Egypt and Israel regarding the withdrawal of Israeli forces from Sinai. Then the negotiation culminated in the signing of Camp David agreement between the president of Egypt, the late Anwar Sadat, and the Israeli Prime Minister Menachem Begin.
Yes.
This it was in America, in Camp David in America in 1979, which led to the withdrawal of Israel forces from the most of Sinai,
yes,
except Taba. Okay. However, Taba was the one of the areas over which disputed territory remained between Egypt and Israel. And this point, Taba was located on the border between Egypt and Israel. Israel returned it after its withdrawal from Sinai. But Egypt was determined to fully recover of Taba, that we should return each centi, each meter from Sinai, including Taba, especially after it became clear that Israel has illegally seized it. Yes. After that, we went to international arbitration. This it was in 1986. Egypt decided to turn to the International Court of
yes,
Arbitration to demand the return of Taba. The court ruled in Egypt's favor, affirming that Taba was an integral part of Egyptian territory. This was a major diplomatic victory of Egypt.
Yes.
The return of Taba on March 1989, Taba was officially returned to Egypt. This day became a national holiday celebrating annually by Egypt to commemorate the return of the land to Egyptian sovereignty.
Yes.
This day also symbolizes the right and the demand for national right, as well as the achievement of full sovereignty over Sinai Peninsula.
Yes. What is the also as Egypt, you said, have went to the international court in order to take its rights and take back Taba. But there was also a role of negotiations and the role of diplomacy. We'd like to come closer and know more about the importance and the role of diplomacy.
In fact, as I mentioned, it was a very successful step by our team, led by the ex-Minister of Education. And also, it was direct instructions from Egyptian government to our team that to be very patient, to be very scientific, to be very cool when they are going to discuss with with Israeli delegation. Because of what? Israel put its strategy that we are going to commit a mistake at any time, unfortunately. And in that time, our delegation was very wise, very patient, and also to insist that Taba belonged to Egypt, according to our documents, which we got from many places, from Turkey and also from our National Museum. And also there are some Egyptian people, they already have some documents and already delivered these documents to our delegation. And thanks for God, at the end of the day, it was a great victory for Egypt.
You mean the documents, maps or what?
This document, in fact, we got it from Turkey and also from our National Museum. And I think there is a person from Alexandria. He has some documents and he delivered to Egyptian delegation. And according to this document, it was very clear that Taba belonged to Egypt. And also, don't forget that our delegation, they are very reasonable person. They were very patient. They were very clever, and they insist about what we need exactly. So at the end of the day, we got it back to our territory.
Yes, if we go back to 1989, I remember I was still young at school, a child at school, but I would not ever forget the atmosphere at that time and how the people felt, and even our television and the songs that were sang specially for Taba and for Sinai. Let us remember with each other what was the echo of the return of Taba on the Egyptians.
In this day, directly, we remember the October War, 1973.
Yes.
So this
and we remembered our martyrs also.
It's complete what we did in October 1973.
Yes.
In fact, Taba Liberation Day, it's a very significant historical event that reflects Egyptian determination to regain its full right. While Sinai, after that, we started the development of Sinai, which reflected the state commitment to achieving sustainable development in this vital region, which is a goal of raising the standard of living and achieving economic and social security and stability in Sinai.
Yes, also the return back of Taba in 1989 made the whole Egyptians remember the martyrs who were sacrificing their souls in the war, the 6th of October 1973, or the war of attrition, who sacrificed their lives for Egypt, or even the soldiers who were wounded and injured in the war.
It's not strange for Egyptian people that we used to defend our land. We used to defend the east, including Sham area, since before Christmas. Don't forget Tahutmos III. And he did a very good victory in Kadesh war, and also in Hittin, and also the very recent victory, it was October War.
Yes.
So that's why Egypt doesn't make any problem to its neighbor. And also we welcome to our neighbor if they come to Egypt as a guest. But we don't accept any aggression from any side. So it's Egypt, it's the country of history, it's the country of civilization. Egypt, it's the oldest country globally. Yes. So thank you for God. Now we have economic development. We have military, very recent and strong army. Yes. And in the meantime, we have tourism, and also we have natural resources, and moreover, we have that people, Egyptian people, and the youth of Egypt, which prove every day that we are controlling our present, and we insist to be very, very effective part in future, and that future which belongs to artificial intelligence and technology. In fact, I want to add about Sinai development, because we start development after
and the project
we regain Sinai, we regain Taba.
Yes. And also the projects. Yes. Yes.
In fact, let me just one few words about Sinai. That it's considered the most important strategic region in Egypt. It's given, it's very sensitive geographic location between Africa and Asia, and its position as Egypt's gateway to all East countries. Sinai important also lies on its diverse natural resources such as oil, natural gas, and mineral, in addition to its very distinguished tourist location, especially in the coastal area and, of course, the Sharm el-Sheikh area.
Yes, and also Ambassador Mongay, also the national mega projects that is taking place also in Sinai, and the infrastructure and several investments that took place and attracted a large number of tourists from all over the world. I thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your valuable information. Ambassador Mongay Badr, Plenipotentiary Board Member of Egyptian United Nations Association. I really had the honor to have this phone with you. Thank you very much for having this phone with you. And with this, my dear viewers, we come to the end of this episode of our program, Cairo Local Time. My name is Amal Mukhtar. Thank you for watching.